We are live. This is the Market Update. Happy Independence Day. Are you independent and do you want to get independent in crypto? If so, you are in the right place. Now let's start with independence. Normally in the United States, it's called July 4th. It's actually not July 4th. It's actually Independence Day. Now, it's the day that we declared independence from England. Why? Well, we were subject to whims of the king. They could tell us what to do, when to do it, when we were going in the army. The English Parliament could tax us, change the economics of our lives. Americans lost it over a 2% tax on tea. Now, was it really about the tea? Or was it about somebody telling you what to do? Now, one of the things you're going to realize is that if you look at the big, beautiful bill, it's not about the amount of money that they spent, although that's clearly pro-Bitcoin, but it has to do with, dare I say, extortion. Like, how much money did we have to spend? How much sugar did they have to hand out to get $150 or $200 billion for the border for priority objectives? Well, I don't know. That's because special interests have an impact on the United States. So I ask you, as one political commentator did last night, are we independent if special interests control Congress? Are we independent if everything in the news media is not true? Are we sovereign? Well, the answer is I'm sovereign and you're sovereign because you're in crypto. Crypto is the Declaration of Independence. And I know it's a huge holiday in the United States, but all that fighting and all that stuff back in 1776 was about, as one of my business partners says so aptly, and she's an analyst, control. Who controls you, antivirus crowd? Nobody. Nobody. Okay? That's why, if you want Bitcoin and you say, well, I might be too late. And I'm like, well, no, you're not. Because it's never too late to become independent, to become sovereign. Now, if you need news and analysis to talk about like, hey, these are the things I need to know, particularly about the big, beautiful bill, I have something to say about that. In other words, everyone was all wound up about it like it was the end of the United States. Ray Dalio was on the tape freaking out, and all of a sudden equities are making an all-time high. And if you read the stock market press, they're like, oh, this is great. Like Nvidia and Microsoft, they're all making new all-time highs, and it's a huge blow off top over there. That's fantastic. All those characters do not want you to be sovereign. So in crypto, we wait, because the money isn't in the buying and the selling. The money is in the waiting. And they're going to sell the fact on the big, beautiful bill. They're doing it already. They're like, oh, he's going to start talking about tariffs. I'm like, oh, are we selling the market on tariffs again? Oh, excellent. Excellent. Excellent dip buying opportunity, right? Everyone's going to freak out about tariffs. And then the market's going to go, okay, we're just going to take all this because it's an example of what not to do. And it has to do with their desperation to get the dollar lower. I read something yesterday that says in order to get U.S. goods competitive abroad, the dollar has to go down anywhere between 35 and 40%. Can you imagine fiat moving that much? Bitcoin needs to go up 60 to 70%, and that says nothing about the big altcoins. For example, everyone knows about DPIN. Everyone's talking about it, and no one's trading it. Now, I ask you this. What layer one would benefit the most if DPIN exploded, decentralized physical infrastructure, which layer 1 would explode? Can you answer that? If not, you may have company. There may be other people out there that can't answer that question. So that means when it starts to take off, it won't be just Bitcoin. It won't be. And if Bitcoin breaks out, which again, nobody thinks it can, right? Like somebody moved a whole bunch of Bitcoin that they bought for $15,000 and they're liquidating it for $1 billion. Good for them, right? But why get off the train now? I mean, yeah, $1 billion is $1 billion. And he hodled it for a really long time through a couple 80% drawdowns. MJ Hits, Zapatas, welcome. Happy 4th. Ben from Down Under. Tyler, what's up? Kevin from Lakeland, Florida. Roby, how to prepare for what is coming. We are on it, sir. On the 4th of July. Market update, Eagle King, on it. Find out now, and Thomas Chai, what is up? Could a third party break the uniparty? No. What breaks the uniparty? Anybody want to take a guess? Capital markets led by Bitcoin and probably privacy, right? In other words, Bitcoin is fun until it gets embarrassing, right? Until you have ETH at 10,000. When you have cryptocurrencies moving like this, like that in the future, that'll get everyone to change their mind about what's going on. But it's not going to be politics. Like Elon wants a third party. Ridiculous. Take the 500 million and buy Bitcoin. Total US debt is now going to hit 40 trillion this year. So it's at 37 now, and they're doing an additional 3. So today it'll be the big, beautiful bill at the White House. It'll be the orange man with the pen, the whole 9 yards, Star-Spangled Banner. I'm a super patriotic guy. Can't help it, right? It'll be the whole song and dance. And then the next day, they got to start issuing billions upon billions in treasury bonds, which is why they got to get stablecoins going faster and faster. Like getting this crypto bill expedited, a strategic reserve, American-made crypto, whatever. They got to get this done now. Now, because they got to do an extra, 2 to 3 trillion in debt this year. 6 months, they're going to need an additional 3 trillion. And they're going to sell the fact today. They're selling the fact right now. Really? Okay. How many times has sell the fact worked this year and last year? Everybody wants to sell the fact because it's cool, right? I'm a tariff expert. I'm a sell the fact expert. We have the M2 experts. Meanwhile, you should be looking at the fact that, multiple job holders is headed back for all-time high, right? This big monthly change right here, right? That little red bar. So yeah, the employment number was okay because people got to go out and get multiple jobs. And the unemployment rate is down, sparing you the economics lecture because there are a large number of people that are dropping out of the labor force. Now, the good news is a lot of citizens of the United States are getting hired, and that's terrific. That's great, right? But where is the growth in the labor market over time, right? I've seen these things about layoff announcements. Oh my God, it's huge. It's huge. And the Fed is behind the 8 ball. Now, is that going to help us tomorrow? I don't know. Probably not. Probably not going to help us tomorrow. Like none of the stock market guys thinks you should cut rates. Okay. All right. We'll see. U.S. patriotism among the left crashes as Marxist demands grow louder. Louder and louder and louder. You want to know who's going to moon your bags? Marxists, right? Their money is their money. Your money is their money. Oh, yeah. You know that's coming. You know that's coming. You know, they went after Medicaid and healthcare. You know, a lot of people who just came into the country illegally, maybe getting those benefits. Who knows? But people are going to be upset, and we want them to be upset, right? Because the culture war is what's going to propel the masses into crypto. It's not going to be the next 1000X meme coin. That's PvP. That's what we do. What gets the masses in? This. And this is not going away. It's not. Okay, speaking of patriotism, right? You know, law enforcement in Texas is just going to town on bad guys. It makes me feel sovereign living in Texas, but you can only get more sovereign and more independent on Independence Day. And natural parks will be charging international visitors more than Americans. Okay. You know, the orange man. Now, as soon as he gets done with the big, beautiful bill, he wants to pivot back to tariff lunacy. Now, I seriously can't believe that anyone is going to take this seriously, right? You know, he's after the Japanese automakers. He's after everybody. Nobody wants to make a deal, so he'll go off. And, you know, no one's freaking out in stocks. NVIDIA, Microsoft, everything's making ridiculous new highs. Nobody wants to buy Bitcoin. Everyone's always telling me a story about why Bitcoin can't go up, why XRP isn't going up, why Solana is not a D-pin play. Crazy, right? Dollar index falling again. Will Bitcoin explode? Dude, of course, right? And even if the dollar index can't go lower right now, it makes the case for the whole dollar trade to spill over into Bitcoin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come off this screen share, right? I'm going to come off this screen share, and I want to tell you what the equities crowd is saying about Bitcoin treasury companies. So some big companies have bought Bitcoin. Some little companies have tried to buy Bitcoin in an attempt to moon their stocks, which means short sellers in stock market, famous short sellers, are buying Bitcoin and shorting all the Bitcoin treasury companies, figuring that when we go through, you know, the innovator, that's Sailor, and Galaxy Digital, the innovators, which is like Metaplanet, and in their opinion, they're approaching the idiots, meaning everybody is trying to buy Bitcoin. I saw somebody bought Binance coin the other day, right? So everybody wants to do a treasury. Everybody wants to sell bonds or preferred stock and buy crypto. And of course, crypto can move 60%. I don't know how much of that you're going to see until well into 2026. And the universal expectation in the equities crowd is that the Bitcoin treasury companies are all morons. Sailor being the biggest moron, according to them. Seriously, I listened to a podcast. Some guy's like, oh, yeah, it's absolutely going to happen. Now, obviously, if too many people do the same trade, it's a problem. However, no one has thought that all these corporations are basically hedging against a falling dollar. Like Metaplanet is probably hedging against any kind of currency problem with the yen, right? If there's a currency problem or a bond market problem, we're hedged, and we can't get hedged enough. Sailor's original entry into Bitcoin was based on the fact that he was sitting on a lot of cash, which was being devalued in a ZIRP environment or zero interest rate policy. So he just piled in massively. And nobody thinks of these Bitcoin treasury companies as people protecting themselves from a falling dollar. Now, of course, it's really about FOMO and making my stock go up. But people should start thinking about it that way. Because how can a small company hedge or make money off a falling dollar? They can buy Bitcoin. So this whole idea that all the Bitcoin treasury companies are all stupid, oh, I'm not buying that. Yeah, we're eventually going to get to idiots, and you know, idiots will pay, you know, they'll pay 120 and then it'll come off. So what? right? What happens if these guys are right? And then you wake up one day and there's all these corporations that have got Bitcoin and the supply was sucked out of the market. It's not the supply of Bitcoin on exchanges, right? It's the supply of Bitcoin available for sale. In other words, this Bitcoin that got moved, like the $10,000 to the $15,000 worth of Bitcoin bought 10 years ago, that's now being sold for $1 billion. Who do you think the buyer is? I'm guessing Michael Saylor or some huge entity, right? They call them up on the phone, or I don't know how they do it. But if somebody has $1 billion worth of Bitcoin for sale, you bet it's going to get sucked up by somebody. Here it is, right? So Barron's, like the weekend Wall Street Journal. Bitcoin price falls. Why boost from jobs data is fading fast, right? Everyone's freaking out about the latest tariff development. The tariff development. We're going to sell this market again on tariffs. You know what? No, we're not. Because you know what? The big, beautiful bill, when they sign it, the next thing that they're going to figure out isn't tariffs. It's the fact that they got to issue $3 trillion in treasuries. Everyone's got the Bitcoin M2 chart out. It's how much money they have to spend that they don't have. And where's that money coming from? It's got to be the Fed and the Treasury. Okay. World's largest pension fund seeks information on Bitcoin under a portfolio diversification plan. Japan's state pension fund is seeking information about Bitcoin. You don't say. You don't say. These guys having a little bit of a problem with their Japanese government bonds? Oh, trust me, they are. Oh, they bought a bunch of Japanese government bonds for decades at 0 interest rates, right? Those things are like north of 3% now. They got some losses on their books. They're like, how can we prevent this? This is one big pension fund, right? Wait until these guys FOMO in. You know, at 100, at 104, let's do a white paper about this. At 150, it'll be much more attractive. Never seen such massive divergence between Bitcoin and global liquidity. Okay. So again, we're all money supply experts on Twitter. The global liquidity thing is most likely China and Japan printing relentlessly because their economies are rolling over. The Japanese economy is rolling over. So you're really looking at foreign money supply here. The issue is high-powered money. And based on the way stock market is trading, I think it was in the system for the 4th of July. It was in the system for the big, beautiful bill, just in case anybody figures out that they have to borrow $3 trillion in 6 months. Pengu strong like bull. Go Pengu. Japan's first digital-only bank launches pilot with Solana to explore stablecoin use. Notice the Japanese getting heavily involved. You want to talk about a debt and currency mess? That's the biggest debt and currency mess in the whole world. And everybody has already forgotten about the idea of sovereigns buying Bitcoin. Like now it's like every day, you know, it's getting way boring. Like this company buys Solana, this company buys Bitcoin. You know, we're transitioning from imitator to idiot. It's the sovereigns that have to buy it next. My sole thesis, right? He's dreaming about this. Yeah, because Solana is stablecoins, DPIN, and if they get meme coins going at the same time, it could be explosive, particularly if, you know, your free trading isn't free. The validators sell Solana to pay for your free trading. So if whatever the validators has to sell gets sucked up by the ETF, you all of a sudden have a demand balance in Solana, which allows buyers to come in and move the price. Okay, so one magazine says, you know, Powell's united front on rates is cracking. It is. It absolutely. That's why the stock market is making all-time highs. because they know it's coming. They have never met any sugar that they didn't like, right? One grumpy guy, God, I used to read this guy when I was at Wall Street in the 90s. This guy must be 90 years old. Stocks are flying. The dollar is falling. Tariffs haven't hit yet. Why cut rates now? Because people are suffering. Stock market people don't get that. Circle Frenzy could set off an IPO frenzy. How not to get burned? Don't be naughty and play in the crypto stocks. Please buy overvalued AI vaporware all day long. Please buy the Magnificent Seven at stratospheric valuations at the all-time high. Absolutely. But don't you touch those crypto IPOs. I still think Ripple's going to get taken over. Why doesn't the U.S. have a Bitcoin strategic reserve yet? Because they're saving that. They're saving it, I think. Like they get this tariff thing done. Once that's over, and I did this graph, right? When tariff talk gets high, Bitcoin goes down. When tariff talk stops, the market goes parabolic, and that's worked perfectly. So if you get some type of tariff dip, well, great. Traders pile on short positions. Are you noticing a pattern here? Where's the FOMO? There's no FOMO at all. None. Nobody thinks this can happen. Why Bitcoin can't break 112? Really? JP Morgan says stablecoin market at 500 billion. How about 5 trillion? That's where Bessent wants it. Ripple launching an incubator for XRPL. Kind of pathetic, honestly. Kind of pathetic. You know, if this is what they have to do to get XRPL going, you guys are scaring me. Let's get it going. Circle has minted 5 billion USDC on Solana in the second quarter. The second quarter. Right? And they want that number. They want to 10x that number. They want to 10x the number. Right? They want $50 billion a month or $50 billion a quarter coming in through stablecoins. So when they have to issue the $3 trillion, like today, they'll be at the Rose Garden. It's going to be beautiful. The orange man's going to be waving the flag, jets flying overhead. Then they got to borrow $3 trillion in 6 months. Buy crypto. Buy crypto. Okay. Let's look at Demar work. Let's start with Hedera on a 4-hour chart. Okay. Interesting breakout, a couple topping signals, but it's retesting where it broke out from. That's very interesting. Hedera is made in America. You know what I'm saying? We got national parks. We got bad guys getting busted. Like, hey, ETH. So once again, we're pulling up short of resistance. Now it pulled up short of resistance here and fell apart. Sometimes when you pull up the resistance, if you bust through, it goes crazy. They got to borrow $3 trillion in 6 months. Did I mention that? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's very patriotic to be bullish. Crypto. Okay, Solana, still hanging on to this idea of a 13 bottom, right? And I'm okay with this square price action. I'm fine with that. Like, the bigger the base, the longer the range, the higher in the space, right? Here is the base in Solana. The bigger the base, the higher into space. This was a hallmark of 2019, and it was a hallmark post FTX. The bigger the base, the longer it sits there, the higher into space. No one paying attention to this. And just in case you think that you don't need decentralized AI, here's the latest from Skynet, right? You can change everybody's hair. You can do all kinds of stuff. I heard Midjourney has video now. This is like exponential improvement, right? I mean, first AI videos couldn't talk. Now they can talk. Now you can change their sunglasses. Like, again, There's going to be a wacky, weird future. You want to make sure you're on it. Okay. If an MLB game makes it to the bottom of the ninth, what's the probability the home team will win? Sir, I honestly don't know, but I like the fact that you commented on the stream. Horace is here. Collins Trucking Company. Right on. Welcome. Yav is here. Crypto Jacks. Thank you for watching the show. Be independent. Be sovereign. Be willing. Be brave. Right? Market goes down, everyone freaks out. Market's going up, everyone's on YouTube watching content. Market goes down for 3 hours, everything shuts down. Now, I know it's basically a bear market. The bigger the base, the higher into space. Also, as a function for Americans, make sure you go out and have some fun today. Have some fun. Everyone's always complaining about, oh, it's so dark and this and that. Get involved in crypto, take charge of your life, and get to the barbecue. That's the market update for today. Happy 4th of July. We will see you on Monday.